Today we have Puss in Boots. By no author, it's just a classic fairy tale. Puss in Boots. Once upon a time there lived an old miller, and he died, leaving his mill to his oldest son, his donkey to his second son, and only a cat to his youngest son. "What use are you, Puss?" said the youngest son. The cat replied, "Give me a hat, a pair of boots, a cloak and a bag, and I will make you a fortune." The miller's son was so surprised to hear the cat talk that he did what he was asked. Puss looked splendid, dressed in a hat with a feather, a pair of high boots, and a flowing purple cloak. He picked some dandelion leaves and put them in a bag, then strode off to find a rabbit hole. He placed the open bag in front of the hole and waited. A rabbit, tempted by the leaves, jumped into the bag, and Puss quickly caught him. Puss went straight to the king's palace with the rabbit. "Your Majesty, I have a gift from my master, the Marquis of Carabas," he said, bowing low. The king had never heard of the Marquis, but he liked the talking cat, so he accepted the gift. The next day, Puss caught 2 pheasants. Again, he took them to the king, saying they were a gift from the Marquis of Carabas. The king said he would like to meet the Marquis, so when Puss returned to the miller's son, he told him the king would like to meet him. "But how can I meet the king dressed in these old clothes?" said the miller's son. Puss had an idea. He knew that the king and his daughter went out each day for a carriage ride along the riverbank, and so he formed a cunning plan. When Puss saw the king's carriage approach, he told his master to pretend he was the Marquis and bathe in the river. Then Puss quickly hid his clothes under the stone. As the carriage passed by, he shouted to the king, "Your Majesty, please help! While my master was bathing, thieves stole his clothes." So the king sent for a set of clothes from the palace, and the miller's son was soon dressed. He looked very handsome in the king's fine clothes. The king was curious to see where the Marquis lived, so he offered to take Puss and his master home. "I will run ahead to prepare things, master," Puss said. He ran quickly ahead of the carriage and saw some people working in the fields. Puss knew that a terrible ogre owned these fields and a castle nearby, and this gave him his next idea. Puss shouted to the workers, "Tell the king that this land belongs to the Marquis of Carabas. If you don't, I'll make mincemeat of you." The farm workers were so afraid of the talking cat, they agreed. When the king came by, he asked them, "Who owns this field?" "The Marquis of Carabas," they replied. The king thought the Marquis must be very rich to own such fine fields. Meanwhile, Puss had arrived at the ogre's castle. He knocked on the door and asked to see the ogre. "I have heard amazing stories that you can change yourself into any creature you wish," said Puss. "It's true," roared the ogre, and in an instant he changed into a fierce lion. "I bet you can't change into something small like a mouse," said Puss fearfully. "Yes, I can," roared the ogre. Quick as a flash, the ogre turned himself into a little mouse. Puss saw his chance. He pounced on the mouse and gobbled him up in one gulp. The ogre's servants were so pleased to be rid of the terrible ogre that they invited Puss and his master to stay with them at the castle. When the miller's son arrived at the castle with the king and his daughter, a great feast was waiting for them. "Welcome to our home, your Majesty," said Puss to the king. The king was very impressed and asked if the Marquis would like to marry his daughter. Of course the miller's son said yes, and everyone lived happily ever after. The end. And that was Puss in Boots.